Hey everybody, thanks for checking out my video. I'm your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is the 1984 installment of my collaboration with Carl Cook and our horror movie superlatives of the 80s. Quick recap, he and I are going through all the years of the 80s and picking out some horror movie superlatives, which are most amazing, so bad it's good, WTF movie, best gore, most unique, most overrated, and most underrated. We're having a lot of fun with this series. We're getting a lot of great feedback from everybody, and we really appreciate it. So, again, after you watch my video, go to his channel. Link will be in the description, and watch his video. It's going to have the same title as this one. And then, of course, go to the community tab on his page and vote on who you thought had the better picks, whether whoever had the best justification or if those picks just, closely matched yours. And definitely let us know your picks down in the comments below, as I have a lot of fun reading those. So that's about it. Let's get down to it, and let's pick out some horror movie superlatives for 1984. My selection for the most amazing horror movie to come out in 1984, this one may get a little bit of controversy behind it, but I went with Gremlins. It was very close between Gremlins and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Both are incredible, incredible films that have the hugest impacts on horror and movies. I love them both. You hand me both DVDs, I'm probably going to choose Gremlins over Nightmare on Elm Street just by a hair. So I had to go with Gremlins because I like that movie just a tad bit more. But don't get me wrong, Nightmare on Elm Street is totally deserving of somebody selecting it as the most amazing horror movie of 1984, or even for the full 80s. But going down to 1984, I like Gremlins just a little bit more. It's a family movie that also is a horror movie. There are some horror scenes in this movie when Billy's mom is killing the gremlins in the kitchen. Lots of scenes of horror. And the gremlins kill a lot of people in that town. You got Mrs. Deagle, they kill her. They kill a lot of people. There are horrific scenes in this movie, but it's fun. And every time I watch Gremlins, I smile, and it's such a fun movie. And it does have some dark undertones when Billy's girlfriend, Phoebe Cates' character, is telling the story on how her father got stuck in the chimney. You can't say that's not horror. Great movie. I love the puppeteering and the special effects. The Mogwais are just so adorable. But you all know the rules. They get fed after midnight, and they turn into these evil, gross, ugly gremlins that their entire existence is to kill and just cause chaos. Every time I watch this movie, I have a blast. It's so much fun, and I think it's a great horror movie. It's a great family movie, and I think it is one of the most amazing horror movies to come out in 1984. My selection for the so bad it's good movie of 1984, I had to choose Rats, Night of Terror by Bruno Mattei. I love this movie. It's a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, it takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where a group of bikers get stuck in a building that's been overtaken by bloodthirsty rats. Yes, this movie is so bad it's good. It's filled with a lot of overacted scenes that make you go, huh?
Don't let the rats eat!
And even some of the dialogue, after you hear it, you kind of have to back the movie up for a second. Like, did she really just say what I thought she said?
I'll make you pregnant. If you can make that thing work. I don't think you know anything about it.
Yeah, overacted scenes. The acting is sketchy, but it's a fun movie. The costume design is insane in this movie. I think people just wore whatever they could grab out of their closet in 30 seconds, and they put it on when you see what some of these people are wearing in this movie. The concept is silly, but I love it. You have rats who actually set traps for humans. Just like a rat trap with cheese, the rats set traps with sugar and food to trap the humans into this building, and they start getting picked off one by one. It's a fun movie. It's a crazy movie. You watch it and you go, huh? But it's a lot of fun. It is so bad it's good when you watch it. And I don't want to spoil the ending, because when you see the ending, it's one of the best what the hell endings I've ever seen in horror. you almost don't believe it until you see it. It's such a blast, and I think it's a perfect description for the best so bad it's good movie to come out in 1984. My selection for the WTF movie of 1984, Silent Night, Deadly Night. And I did cover this movie on my series, Nails in the Coffin. I will put a link right up there, so please go check it out, and you can see how many nails Silent Night, Deadly Night gets. This is definitely a WTF movie. I think it was only out for a few weeks till it got pulled from theaters because you had PTA groups, mothers groups, people writing letters to the studio and everything. You had Siskel and Ebert poo-pooing on this movie, giving the names of people who made it because they were so offended by it, because moms and parents and whatnot thought the movie was damaging and it was child abuse because in the movie there was a killer Santa Claus.
Think of the children.
But so there's a lot of controversy behind this movie, but even without all that controversy, it's definitely a WTF movie. You got Billy, who saw his parents get murdered. He goes to an orphanage where he's been abused by Mother Superior, and it just turns him into this warped young adult that every time he sees red or Santa Claus or a woman being assaulted in any way, he just snaps and he goes on a killing spree and nothing can stop him. He's a young kid. He punches out Santa Claus. Billy almost has superhuman strength in this movie. A lot of scenes in this movie, you watch it and you have to ask yourself, WTF. I'm sure most of you have seen Silent Night, Deadly Night, and I love it. I hope you guys love it, and I hope you understand why I picked it as my WTF movie of 1984. My selection for the best gore to come out, I went with the hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength, Toxic Avenger. Troma Studios' Lloyd Kaufman, this is their staple character, the Toxic Avenger. This is such a fun movie, and I think it's got great gore, great special effects. You've got some really horrific scenes when Toxie's in the gym and he crushes that guy's head in the cable machine. You got the young kid that gets hit by those bullies in the movie driving the car. They run him over and then they squish his head. At the end, Toxie punches the mayor in the gut and pulls out his innards. It's a silly movie. It's a trauma movie. It's funny. It's gross. It's entertaining. And the special effects are fantastic. The woman who did the special effects, Jennifer Aspinall, also did the special effects for Street Trash, which is also amazing. So Toxic Avenger is great, and I think it has the best gore to come out in 1984. Now for the most unique movie to come out in 1984. I chose Terror in the Aisles. Documentary hosted by Donald Pleasance and Nancy Allen, and they do a phenomenal job hosting this documentary. What they were able to add into this documentary is just outstanding. I love the work that they did.
Why make up horrible things when there is so much real terror in the world?
You get clips from horror movies and sci-fi from like the 1930s to the 1980s. Clips from Friday the 13th, Part 1 and 2, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jaws, Alien, The Thing, Psycho, The Birds. So many incredible horror and sci-fi movies. And the reason it's unique is because it was able to introduce so many people to horror movies, maybe ones they haven't seen before or never heard of. This movie was In Search of Darkness 35 years ago. It's one of the first documentaries about horror films. Horror films really picked up speed in the early 80s, and this came out in 1984. So you can just imagine how really ahead of the time this movie was. Anytime you watch it, you realize how many good horror movies there were that just came out up until that point in 1984. And it is unique because it's one of the earliest documentaries. Like I said, it introduced so many people to horror films. It's a great movie to watch. The hosting by Donna Pleasance and Nancy Allen is second to none. They do an outstanding job, and it's one of my favorite horror documentaries out there. And that's why I chose it as the most unique horror movie to come out in 1984. For the most overrated horror movie, I went with Children of the Corn. One of the weaker Stephen King adaptations to film. I never read the book because I've watched the movie. I really didn't get interested in the book because there's so many other Stephen King books that I've read that I really enjoyed. I never really cared to read Children of the Corn. I just found this movie boring. It's silly. It's a story about a cult of kids who think anybody above 18 should be killed. Isaac is not scary, not intimidating. He's just kind of silly and funny. You got he who walks behind the field with this mound of dirt walking in the cornfields and everything. It's just kind of silly. I can never really get into it. I find it boring and uninteresting, and I really just don't really like it. It's not a bad movie. There is competence behind it, don't get me wrong. One thing I do love about the movie is I do seeing Linda Hamilton in it. I think she does a great job in the movie. Like, it's not poorly made or poorly directed. I just don't find it interesting. It's boring, and I really didn't care for it. So that's why I selected it as the most overrated horror movie to come out in 1984. And finally, my selection for the most underrated horror movie to come out in 1984, CHUD, Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers. Or when you watch the movie, Contamination Hazard Urban Disposal. If you haven't seen this movie, it's about a New York City police officer and a homeless shelter manager who team up to investigate a series of disappearances, only to find out they have been killed by humanoid creatures who live in the sewers. And I love the name CHUD. CHUD sounds like what's left in the sink after a night of mixing beer, whiskey, weed, pizza, and regret. I love the name CHUD. This is a fun movie. It's got a really great cast. You got John Hurd and Daniel Stern, and you also have cameos by John Goodman and Jay Thomas as police officers. This movie's a blast from the 80s. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those movies you can sit down with a group of friends, laugh, have a great time, and just enjoy the insanity that is the movie. I think the CHUD look great in it. It's a silly story, but it is fun. And I definitely think you should check out CHUD if you haven't already. And I firmly believe that it is the most underrated horror movie to come out in 1984. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my selections for some horror movie superlatives for 1984. Here's a quick recap. Most amazing. Gremlins just edged out Nightmare on Elm Street. Both amazing movies, but I like Gremlins just a little bit more, and I had to select it for most amazing. So Bad It's Good, a movie you need to watch. The payoff at the ending is worth it. Rats, Night of Terror. WTF movie, the iconic, the classic, the controversial, Silent Night, Deadly Night. Best Gore, a hideously deformed creature of superhuman size and strength, Lloyd Kaufman, Troma Studios, The Toxic Avenger. The most unique, Terror in the Isles, hosted by Donald Pleasance and Nancy Allen. Incredible horror documentary. It's fantastic. Most overrated, Children of the Corn. I think it's a little boring and uninteresting. Not a bad movie. I just really couldn't get into it. And the most underrated, CHUD. Love the movie. It's a blast. Thanks again for checking out this video. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please go to Carlin's channel. Link will be in the description below. And watch his video. It's got the same title as this one. And then go to the community tab on his page and please vote on who you thought had the better picks. Whether whoever had the better justifications or those picks closely matched yours. Doesn't matter. Just vote. It's all fun, friendly competition. And leave your selections in the comments down below. I love to read them. I love to hear what you guys would pick. We all have opinions. They're all great because they're individual to us. No opinion is wrong. It's just, people talking about horror, which is fantastic. We love the feedback we're getting, and we're having a lot of fun with this series, and we're most likely going to do other decades, and we're really looking forward to it. So, thanks again. Hit that like button, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. These horror movie superlatives come out every Wednesday, and my Nails in a Coffin series comes out every Friday. And subscribe to Carlin's channel as well. He's a great guy. He and I have been friends for about 4 or 5 years now. And he's got a great channel, and he definitely, should earn your subscription, and we really do appreciate it. Well, that's about it. Wrapping things up. Thanks again, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Stay happy. Stay healthy. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.